Hey, I want to welcome everybody back. I'm here today with Todd Black. He and his family, his mom and dad, Kay and Dwayne Black, and his sister Kelly and her husband David Wagner have been our customers for years and years. Forgot to mention his wife Mandy. Todd's wife Mandy also comes down. But they've been coming to our greenhouse for a long, long time, and they always just do a phenomenal job with their flowers and their garden. And I'll post some pictures later on here of his mom and dad's flowers and Kelly's flowers and their gardens, and kind of show you that Todd's not the only gardener in the family. So he's learned from some of the best.
Absolutely.
But today I did want to focus on Todd's garden, because I have been driving by here all spring and summer, and I've noticed just from the beginning how nice it looks from the road, and I just wanted to feature it. A lot of these plants came from the greenhouse, but that's just the beginning. He has done an awful lot of work, and I'm going to let him talk about that here in a minute. But when my girls were growing up, I would oftentimes tell them that when I saw a really nice garden that was just manicured, it was taken care of perfectly, I would describe it as a Winnie the Pooh garden. So Todd, you've got a Winnie the Pooh garden.
Thank you, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm getting a belly like him too.
That's right. Eating too many tomatoes.
Eating too many tomatoes, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. But today I wanted to ask Todd a few questions. And the first thing was, I was just wondering a little bit of history on the spot here. I know you had told me a little bit before about how you came about the spot.
This was actually Norris Langdon's garden area.
Yeah.
And he lived right next door, and from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
I can remember him out here every day.
Yeah.
Gardening this spot right here. Of course, his was quite a bit bigger than what mine is.
Right.
He would garden the whole area.
Oh my!
And
yeah, this is a big area.
And he did a phenomenal job. He had a Winnie the Pooh garden.
Did he really?
Yes,
yeah.
he
Well,
did.
you knew this was a good spot then.
Absolutely.
You've been watching it for years. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's you've done a phenomenal job here too. So
Thank you.
if you had any piece of advice, because buying the plants at the greenhouse, that really means nothing if you're not going to really stick with it. So for a kid that's just getting started, or even some people that are older that are just getting started, what could you tell them that you've implemented here to make this garden look like this?
Well, it's always good to find a flat spot.
Yeah.
And then work in it every day.
Yeah.
Get your plants planted, keep the weeds out, and water.
Right.
Plenty of sunshine. They love sunshine. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that's right.
just a lot of work.
It is work, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's always fun at the beginning of the season when you're getting it planted and you're getting the ground worked up. But it seems like when you get into heat like we're experiencing today, where it's about 350 degrees, then it's not so fun to get out there and weed and hoe.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was just noticing Todd's hoe here. You can tell that he's used it just a little bit. That hoe's wore out.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you some stories on this one.
Oh, yeah.
This was my grandmother's hoe.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
So this hoe is probably going to go back 50, 60 years at least.
Oh, wow. Is
and
that right?
Her garden spot's where our house is now, and I learned a lot from her.
Yeah.
And the end of this hoe right here hit me in the head several times because I like to stand right behind her.
Oh, yeah.
And
sure.
so I learned a lot from her. Of course,
yeah.
I learned a lot from my dad. So,
yeah. Well, that's good. Those old, my grandmother had a hoe that was very similar to that, and I remember her sharpening it, you know.
Yeah.
And she would always keep it nice and sharp.
Yeah.
But what else was it? I had one more question, and I guess that was the $1 million question everybody wants to know. The main thing in this garden is, what is your favorite tomato and why?
Well, my favorite tomato, and I'm going to grab it here real quick.
Okay.
And the old farmers called it a red heart.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was one of the hardest tomatoes I've had to raise.
Yeah.
But this year they've really produced well. They're a nice size tomato.
Yeah.
They have little acid in them, and they're just juicy and just a wonderful eating tomato.
That's a beauty. That is a beauty. That's an old heirloom tomato, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
We did a tomato contest a couple years ago. I just wanted to mention that his sister, Kelly Wagner, entered with several tomatoes, and she was right at the top with every one of them. Seemed like all of them were between 6 and 6.5 inches across, cut through the middle. So yeah, that gives you an example of how these people can grow tomatoes. But that is a beauty, and I would have to say that, or the big pink ones are my favorite also. I love those yellow tomatoes, yellow stripes. So, well, I guess that's all we've got for today. I want to thank you, Todd, for letting me come up
Yes, sir.
and
Anytime.
take a look at this garden a little closer. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll catch up with you guys on the next video.